partner, I've always told my partner that as soon as you raise your hand, like it's over. And because I don't want to be my father. I don't. That's what we try to escape.
Obviously.
Right. I don't want to. I promised to myself that I will not be in such a position, that I will not let this happen to me. But then again, you start questioning yourself. You start questioning your reality.
Yeah.
That maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm overthinking, because you're told to believe that no, all of these things, because the human nature is to try to you would want to believe the person you're with, right?
Yeah.
And that is why any sort of abuse is the biggest betrayal of trust.
Yes.
It's like sleeping with your enemy.
You have seen abuse in your life. I really want you to tell me in your personal opinion, or the things that you have read, what goes on in the mind of an abuser, because you are a lawyer also, and you really meet a lot of people who must be doing wrong things or being accused of doing wrong things. So what kind of mindset do you think an abuser has?
Being aggressive inside your home.
Yeah.
I think that's what abusers, because they do not feel any power outside in the world. So they want to create that power with you. They know that they can emotionally they can have a hold on you, that you will not leave. They will scare you. And a lot of times, in my personal experience, it has been that, we can get away with this.
Okay.
That has been a mentality that, I'm gonna get away with this, I'm gonna do this and I will get away with it. But I want to protect this person from the world. I want to give them the best things possible. And if something wrong happens, in the sense that if it does not work out, then I will leave and wish them well forever. I would not want to beat that person up and be like, I love you, but ye le mukka kha, but I love you. ऐसे नहीं होता ना. You should, if you have to live in this society, you control your emotions, right?
Welcome to Being Curious with Yash.
So welcome everyone. Welcome to new episode of Being Curious with Yash. Being Curious with Yash के नए एपिसोड में आपका स्वागत है. आज हमारे साथ हमारे फेवरेट कॉमेडियन मनु अभिषेक is coming back to the podcast second time. So finally we have a guest who is coming back second time. But today Manu Abhishek will come not as a comedian, he'll not crack jokes, but वो एक बहुत ही important topic के बारे में discuss करने आए हैं हमारे साथ, that is domestic abuse. इंडिया में we know that there is lot of domestic abuse, और उससे ज़्यादा उसको दबाने की बहुत ज़्यादा कोशिश होती है in the society, because society में एक बहुत बड़ा टैबू है. So मनु अभिषेक भैया के साथ हम लोग domestic abuse कैसे होता है, क्या implications होते हैं, लॉज क्या है, मेंस के राइट क्या है डोमेस्टिक अब्यूज में, वुमेन के राइट क्या है, हर चीज के बारे में हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे डिटेल में, एंड वी लर्न अ लॉट अबाउट इट. सो वेलकम एवरीवन. वेलकम भैया, वेलकम टू द शो.
Thank you. Good to see you. Good to be back. But in different circumstances now.
Yeah. So how are you feeling?
It's been a tough month for me.
Yeah.
But things are looking a little better now, in the terms of that I think I'm in a little better mental position, but I think there's still a long way to go for me. And yeah.
So today we'll talk about domestic abuse and all. But India में I think most of the domestic abuse happens with women.
Of course.
But few also happen with men.
Of course, right. Abuse does not have a gender.
Yeah.
But of course, because women are in they're not in an advanced. They are at a physical disadvantage mostly in most of the cases, and also because of the patriarchy, the society wants to suppress women. Women are not financially independent, so they sacrifice. They take all of it because they have no other options.
Yeah.
And it does, obviously, in the rural area, even in the urban areas, everywhere, that you generally, I mean, biologically, a man is considered to be stronger than a woman in most of the cases.
Obviously.
And when you hold that sort of a power over somebody, then there's the misuse of that sort of power inside your household, with your children, with your whoever you think is physically inferior to you.
Yes.
You will try to.
True.
People do try to misuse that power.
मैंने जैसे and it is a very good thing that we are talking about it. But मैंने while talking to you backstage, we were talking and मुझे पता चला कि you had a family history, people in your family or somebody you know had a domestic abuse case. So I want to know because अगर हम कुछ personal level पे जाएंगे, then we'll get to know कि how things actually pan out.
Okay, like continuing on what I was saying earlier,
Yeah.
even if domestic abuse is about physical abuse a lot,
Yeah,
emotional abuse as well is a part of
Yeah,
it, but
yeah.
but even when, for example, as you said, as I said, it happens to men also. So in a lot of these cases, it's a mental battle where the fear of there's some sort of fear created by the abuser where they think that they can get away with it, they can do this to anybody, and then the the physical element of it diminishes, and then that's where control and emotional things come in, and that's why again it's obviously it's a physical, it's a fight sort of a scenario, but the underplaying tones are like obviously it's a mental game where you try to scare your partner into being submissive and you try to control them. Anyway, on a personal level, so in all honesty, I come from a family of domestic, not a family of domestic violence, but a family where one of my parents, my father was an abusive person. He was a physically violent person.
Okay.
And it went on for years and years. Even though my mother, she's a very strong, independent woman. She's a lawyer herself.
Yeah.
But because, as I said, the mental element of it, to try to please your partner, women take it. Trying to please the abuser, a lot of people just let them get away with it. And it happened for the longest of times where my mother is also not physically weak. She's a physically strong woman, but she would let him do that out of emotions, because of the patriarchy again, maybe because of love. But for 10, 15 years, we would see physically violent fights break out in the house, stuff being thrown, चीज़ें तोड़ना, तो मतलब ऐसे इतना normalize हो गया था, इतना toxic environment हो चुका था कि it became so normal to see all of that. And I remember like whenever it's been like 5 years, almost 4 years since we actually kicked my father out of the house.
Okay.
And it's been 4 years that anything of that sort has happened in our house, but I still hear those voices whenever I'm sleeping, and if I hear somebody screaming, my first instinct is to just get up and run towards whoever is screaming, because the part of me still wants to just intervene and save my mom, save my mom, save my mom. And that takes a lot of toll on not even a child. It could break even the strongest of the strongest people. And as a kid, it was hard for me and my sister to go through all of that. And because of all of this, maybe my personal relationships, I'm scared of. For me, domestic violence is a very, very, in my personal relationship, it's a very hard boundary. It's a deal breaker. I've always told my partners that as soon as you raise your hand, like it's over. And because I don't want to be my father. I don't. That's what we try to escape.
Obviously.
Right. I don't want to. I promised to myself that I will not be in such a position, that I will not let this happen to me. But life can always have different ideas for you.
Yes.
And if I can be really, really, really candid, really honest, so the truth is that the last time I saw my father, he was trying to beat up my mom. And this is the day I'm talking about when we kicked him out of the house.
Okay.
I beat my own father up.
Okay.
My own father.
Okay.
To protect my mom.
Obviously.
And I think about that day a lot. The trauma has not gone, but I would do it again and again and again. I would do it. Nobody gets to do that to their partner. Nobody gets to do that on a regular basis. You're not creating you're creating such a toxic environment for yourself, for the society, for anybody. And as I said, like, to protect my mom, she was a victim of all of this. I took that step. It was a very hard thing for me to do. To hit your own father is not something anybody would be proud of.
True.
And I'm not saying that I'm proud of it, but to protect the people I love, to protect my relationships, the people I want to keep safe from the world, I would do it to anybody.
Yeah.
And that is why in the whole perspective for me about domestic, it's a very sensitive thing for me, and it's a very big part of my life where I really, really do not want, like, I talk about it all the time. The people around me know that how much it means to me, and I really don't want to, like, ever let that happen to me again.
So now it's a very difficult topic to actually talk to, and I don't want to go into much details, but because I can see it's an emotional topic for you also. But actually, I want to touch upon this topic more in different aspects.
Okay.
I want to first touch about this domestic abuse and emotional abuse.
Okay.
Because a lot of times we see domestic abuse, there is a fine line. You can actually see what's happening. But emotional abuse, you cannot see. But people are gaslighting, manipulating other partners, and it can slowly over the years snowball into domestic abuse.
Yeah, of course.
In movies, we see domestic abuse happening like in a very dramatic manner, but mostly domestic abuses happen in a very closed door. For years it happens in closed door, and when the fight starts to get ugly, starts to get bad, then it comes open. So I really want to know your views on emotional abuse, and what are the signs that people can actually understand, okay, I'm getting emotionally abused and I really need to think or need to get some help.
Emotional abuse, it entails a lot of things. It could be anything at all, as you said. Like, of course, now there are a lot of psychology terms, gaslighting, manipulation. And yes, people in relationships act weirdly because only those two people know what is going on in the relationship.
Yeah.
So a person can feel emotionally abused in a lot of circumstances. I would say that if you're in a situation where you feel emotionally abused for a long time, that my partner is trying to do this to me, do that to me, then just leave.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what, again, if that's what I told my father again, that if you have a problem, just leave. Don't do this. Because as you said, with physical abuse, there's a clear line that this is the laws are also very clear that okay, you hit a person, you hit your partner, you hit your wife, that is physical abuse. In emotional abuse, then a lot of elements of cruelty come in. Like, what is cruelty? In some cases, cruelty is it's construed to be something else, and in another case, that would not be construed as cruelty. It depends on the way you live, what your relationship is. But signs of emotional abuse, I've been through emotional abuse recently also. Your partner just lying to you all the time, your partner betraying you in places where it matters the most. Maybe sometimes you think, like, for me the signs were that I always thought that my one of my partners was living a double life where they were not truthful to me. But then again, you start questioning yourself, you start questioning your reality. That, oh, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm overthinking, because you're told to believe that, oh, no, all of these things, because the human nature is to try to you would want to believe the person you're with, right? And that is why any sort of abuse is the biggest betrayal of trust. It's like sleeping with your enemy, man. You want to be safe. This is the safest place you want to be in. Behind the closed door, you want to be safe with your partner, right? And then when they betray you there, like, whether it be emotionally or whether it be physically, that could shatter you forever. That could, and again, emotional abuse is a little different because a lot of things happen in relationship. A lot of fights happen. A lot of times, a lot of people do a lot. There could be a lot of gaslighting, as you said. I am not sure, like, because in this age and era of Instagram reels, there's a lot of pop psychology again, where you don't even understand what the meaning of the term is, and then everybody is a narcissist. Everybody is gaslighting. Everybody is projecting. So, of course, the internet, the element of internet in this conversation has changed our perception, because if you go, if you Google this question, what are the signs of an abusive relationship, you'll always get 10 websites with different agendas, and all of them would entail different basic surface level knowledge of all of these things. But yes, I think emotional abuse is anything you feel is emotional abuse.
Okay.
Right? That you define that for yourself. Okay, great. You have the right to do that. And if you feel that you're being emotionally abused, then leave. Though don't make it ugly, right? As you said that 4 years of emotional abuse turns into ugly fights where the partners are stabbing each other now. That's definitely a crime. That's So again, emotional abuse, it's a subjective topic, but there's a very hard line with physical abuse. As soon as you raise your hand on your partner, it's
got it. Okay. Now we were talking about emotional abuse, and okay, I got a very clear definition कि जहाँ आपको where you feel कि okay, I'm being emotionally abused, then there you have to draw the line. Okay, but it's a personal question, and I really want to ask कि in your family you have seen कि like, can you give me just one example of anyone how people emotionally abuse each other?
Okay, so yes, withdrawing from your partner's company, that could be emotional abuse. People stop talking to their partners. So there would be months in my family where my father would not talk to my mom. She would just be talking to him and he would not reply. So that is a very weird position. That is emotional abuse. Sometimes my mom would do stupid things which my father would find emotionally abusive. For example, if she would just keep on asking me, what you're doing, where you're going, this about finances, about sometimes people want to respect their privacy and not everybody wants to be questioned all the time. So somebody can construe that as emotional abuse. As I said, again, it's a very personal thing. For me, something else could be emotional abuse if my partner is for example, if my partner is betraying me financially, where they're lying to me about their finances and then they're trying to take money from me for different things, I consider that as abuse. And other instances where in a very personal example, if my partner, they're trying to hide all of their for example, if they are checking my phone because they know my password, and they're checking my phone and then they're deleting my chats, they're calling people from my phone this is emotional abuse. And then if I and this is a very specific instance, I asked my partner that if I asked them for permission that if I can check your phone because you did that to me without even my consent, because everybody has a right to their privacy. And then they said no. They said, no, you cannot do that. So this happens in relationships, right? So is this not emotional abuse? I get to decide that. So they could get to decide, for them, this is emotional abuse. Like it's, as I said, it's a very personal, and in terms of cruelty also, and how courts interpret it, different case-to-case basis. In some case, what could be cruel will not be cruel in the other case.
On emotional abuse and people around you, understanding about how a person is being emotionally abused, I really want to know, and I want this conversation to reach my friends and a lot of other people as well. Ki if you see your friend being emotionally abused, so you can actually warn them. Ki, okay, bro, you are not in a really good state. So I really want you to tell one or two signs that you can see in other people and be like, okay, this relationship is not very healthy. And I think at some point of time, it is going to get much more ugly. So I better warn that person. Obviously, you cannot intervene, but it as in a good faith, you can actually warn.
Of course, you can always. People do that, and I believe people should do that when asked, because it's easier for a person from the outside to look at a relationship objectively and say that, okay, this is wrong, this is right. But again, it's also a lot of people just try to do that and create issues in somebody else's relationships also. So, but signs of emotional abuse can always be that if you're, like, for example, if you're scared around your partner, if you're there and you're just scared of their actions, what they're gonna say, and if you're flinching in front of them, or maybe you're just really sad around them, and maybe if you see your friends वैसे जैसे इंडियन सोसाइटी में तो ना ताने मारते हैं जब पेरेंट्स एक
हाँ,
दूसरे को, या वैसे टाइप चीज़ होती है,
हाँ,
तो वो होता है साइन कि देयर समथिंग ऑफ विद द रिलेशनशिप. मे बी your friend tells you that okay, this and this happened to me, and I feel you give me advice, objective advice.
हाँ, हाँ.
So yeah, it's
Okay,
a very
got your point. Okay. Now I really want to, since you have seen abuse in your life, I really want you to tell me, in your personal opinion or the things that you have read, what goes on in the mind of an abuser? Because you are a lawyer also, and you really meet a lot of people who must be doing wrong things or being accused of doing wrong things. So what kind of mindset do you think an abuser have?
okay. Honestly, I wouldn't know because
Yeah.
I try
No,
to
I'm just asking
I
your
will try
opinion.
to
Yeah.
I will try to
Yeah.
fathom, engage.
Yeah.
But I do not do family matters because
Yeah.
it's a very all
Yeah.
of these things are really sensitive for me and
Yeah.
to. But from what I have learned from my recent experiences, that abusers, I think they like to project a lot.
Okay.
They are frustrated with themselves. They are not
Okay.
obviously happy. Then there could be a lot of mental issues at play,
Yeah.
right? But I think that they want to believe themselves to be the victim a lot of times, and say, oh, you've pushed me to this point where I'm hitting you.
Okay.
That's what I've heard in a lot of.
Yeah.
I've been in 2 abusive relationships, and that's what I've heard, that oh, you've pushed me to a point that I have to hit you now, that I have
Okay.
to do this. But that's no justification.
Yeah.
If I pushed you to that point, then go, leave.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they want to do that. These are aggressive, violent people who, and listen, personally, a lot of people are aggressive and violent. I would say that I'm because I try to do MMA and boxing and all of that.
Yeah.
So I can be aggressive.
Yeah.
But being aggressive inside your home,
Yeah.
that I think that's what abusers, because they do not feel any power outside in the world, so they want to create that power with you. They know that they can emotionally hold, they can have a hold on you, that you will not leave. They will scare you, and a lot of times in my personal experience it has been that oh, we can get away with this.
Okay.
That has been a mentality that oh, I'm gonna get away with this, I'm gonna do this and I will get away with it. And I think that's what goes on.
Yeah.
Obviously the human mind is it's a lot of dimensions, a lot of things at play. So in their head, maybe they are right. Right? They think that they are entitled to hit somebody. They think they can do it to somebody, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Okay.
Because a lot of delusional people I know, they are, but like a lot of the abusers I know are delusional people. They want to believe things. So for example, if right now the wall behind you is white, it's a fact, right? But if I'm colorblind and if I see it as a purple wall, I will just say that the wall is purple, the wall is purple, the wall is purple. And even if I'm not colorblind, if I want to believe that the wall is purple, I'm going to tell myself and I'm going to believe that.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, as I said, in my personal experience, a lot of the abusers are delusional people who just tell themselves lie that oh, something wrong is happening to me. I am right. I have the right to do this, and eventually they deny. They deny that they've done this.
Okay.
That's the worst part, right? After doing it, they will not take any accountability that I've done something wrong. They will say no, I've not done it, even though there's a lot of evidence, there's everything. They will say no, nothing, never happened, gaslighting, whatever. So in a past relationship, there was 4 instances of physical violence.
Okay. With you?
With me, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I remember her sending me a text where she says that no, I was not trying to hit you. I was just trying to stop you from leaving. And I blacked out. My abandonment issues got triggered. But this is classic abuser behavior. They're trying to say that no, I was not doing it. You think it was something else, bro. You're hitting me on the face. You're slapping me. How can I think it was? It is my perspective where I know I'm being abused, and then you come to me and say no. It was just me trying to stop you, or try to take away whatever my facts are, and that's a very weak position to be in.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I really want to touch upon a very sensitive issue, that when should after physical abuse, emotional abuse, we have talked about that you should walk out. But you have mentioned that while you were in a relationship, you were being abused multiple times.
Yeah.
So, and we know, like, if it happens after first time, you should just stop.
You should.
But
just
I
leave.
really want to ask, why didn't you stop being in that relationship?
I stopped. I tried to stop, but
Yeah.
yes, again, that was my mistake. And now I've learned that that's how you learn in life, right? You want to believe that the person will change. You want to believe that okay, the person loves you, they care about you. You would want to believe all of those things because once you're in an emotional relationship with somebody, you try to make it work. But now I've learned that as soon as now it's a very very hard boundary that the day you hit me with intention, you hit me, it's over. There's no you do not hit somebody you love. That is a basic principle in my mind. I understand that the human emotions can be very extreme. People can get very angry. But if you love somebody, if you claim to love somebody, if you want to care for somebody, because how I see my partner is that I want to protect this person from the world. I want to give them the best things possible. And if if something wrong happens, in the sense that if it does not work out, then I will leave and wish them well forever. I would not want to beat that person up and be like, oh I love you, but ये ले मुक्का खा, but I love you. ऐसे नहीं होता ना. You should, as in this, if you have to live in this society, you control your emotions, right? You control yourself. वरना तो वही है, फिर तो सभी सबको मारते हुए ऐसे ही तो होता है ना. So just but now very hard boundary that just leave. Why I didn't leave before? Because I had hope. I wanted to believe that okay, maybe this person, once you're in love, maybe once you're in an emotional codependent situation with somebody, you just want to see the good in them, and you're like, okay, I'll give them one more chance. But now I know for a fact, abusers don't change. If somebody has hit you once, there are chances that they would do it again, because they do not have any control over themselves, and you do not want to be with a person who does not have any control over themselves.
Now I want to touch upon the people who are around the abusers and how do they react, because we have talked about your case. Now if we go to a rural setting and we see women being abused by a lot of people in the family, I really want to know what kind of situation that place must be in, because in your case and in your family and other people also, people are noticing that the person is being abused. This is not a very happy relationship, but people are not responding or aggressively. Why do you think that kind of thing happens? Or one more point, they let it pass. Let it pass. And things will get better. But things go ugly much sooner than
because people don't want to intervene in somebody else's problems. A lot of people just want to make fun of you. A lot of times they want to use you. A lot of people do empathize with you, but they also feel helpless because the victim in abuse situations, they say one thing one day, they're like, okay, this person is doing that, but the next day they might stand with their abuser, because that is how the abuser works, right? So फॉर एग्जाम्पल ऐसे ही लॉ में भी अगर आप पुलिस के पास भी जाते हो ऐसे लेके केसेस, तो पुलिस भी they will try to dissuade you in the beginning, because they know that right now you're saying in the heat of the moment you just had a fight, your husband hit you, you're saying all of these things. Next day you might not say the same things, and because in the rural areas women are not so independent, they're not aware of their rights, and they're in a very weak position actually if they're not working, because their family won't take them back. And then the husband's family, the whole family will obviously, even though they see that the husband is in the wrong, but the family will always try to support the person who, even if, because they're their own person. So that also happens, right? So
true.
In urban areas also, if, for example, as a man, if you hit your partner, and a lot of times people just say it's normal, it's okay, it happens to everybody, A lot of women, so that's what people used to tell my mom, that it's okay, it's fine. And
got it. Got the
but
logic.
I think there's a new way where if I get to learn that one of my friends is an abuser, I would talk to them, I would stop talking to them, maybe I would, because there's a lot of pressure on
True. You have to build pressure.
Yeah, you have to do that.
So that they can understand that not with that person, with other relationship, it can have severe consequences. Now I want to highlight one aspect outside of the family, that is police. Because if we in rural areas, and even if, because all the police actually comes from, in the cities also come from rural areas, I really want to know the role of police in this, because a lot of times, as you have mentioned also, ki when a person goes to the police station, the police in the starts to dissuade. Ki no, it's okay, things happen, there's a heat of the moment, and people don't take that seriously.
We've got bigger things to do.
Yeah, we have got bigger things to do. I really want to know, what can a person do in that scenario?
As a woman, you have a lot of rights, of course. You can file a complaint, the Domestic Violence Act and all of these things. And of course, the police will try to dissuade you because they don't, because they see this happening 10, 20 times a day, and they know that eventually this person might withdraw their complaint, this person might not go through with it. They really want to make sure, like, they don't want to do any work. They want to make sure there's a really, really strong case where they won't have to just do all the investigation for nothing. But for women, there are a lot of things. You can go to the court. You can under the Domestic Violence Act, there's a lot of provisions. You can get warrants issued. The court will direct the police that file an FIR against this person for assault and all of these domestic violence. So usme to domestic violence laws are very strong and stringent. That is why there's a lot of misuse also. But I would still say that it's affirmative action, because women are real victims. Like most of the times they have to go through all of that.
I have one question. Does this Domestic Violence Act also apply in live-in relationships and all?
Yes. There have been new rulings by the Supreme Court that if there are live-in relationships and those could be treated as marriages in terms of the Domestic Violence Act, because the trend these days is like people don't get married but live together. A relationship is a relationship, and abuse can happen in those situations again. So for the purposes of Domestic Violence Act, in a lot of cases, for purposes of maintenance, also live-in relationship can be seen as a marriage.
I want to ask, if a person, a lot of times, we live in an open society, but a lot of times when people come from rural areas or from small towns, they start to live in with their partner, but they don't tell their parents and all. And if they start getting abused, what can they do in that? Because it's a live-in relationship, everything is going, but things are not getting better, things are going worse. And if they go to police, they know things can get very bad. But they have to go to the police, and the police says ki, but there is no proof that you are living in a live-in relationship. So in that case, what can a person do?
There could be proof. Like
how do you prove? But there's no rent agreement, something like that.
No rent agreement, but bill payments, electricity bill, who's paying for what, address, Aadhaar card type, कुछ भी अगर बनवाते हो, कोई भी ID बनवाते हो, उसमें वो temporary address भी reflect कर रहा है. There are circumstances where you can show that I was living with this person in a domestic relationship without getting married. So again, case to case basis पे depend करता है.
But मतलब ऐसा, what can a person do so that they actually have if a person wants to be in a live-in relationship, obviously every relationship is not a domestic abuse, but that person can ensure ki I have a legal status also.
I think like there's a new law in Himachal or UP where they have to register live-in
but that is
in
Uttarakhand.
In Uttarakhand, yes. And but apart from, like, I don't know if I have never tried to prove that I was in a live-in relationship or not. But I don't know what people do. But the best thing I would say is that temporary address IDs or maybe some proof of residence. I really don't know how to go about this. To how to prove that you were in a living relationship. I think if you only make a statement that you were, mostly it is considered that perhaps you were in a living relationship.
And I want to touch upon what remedies does anyone have from the court? If one goes to a lawyer, one goes to a court, what person should tell the lawyer that if they were being abused? Matlab, in the sense ki you are a lawyer, if a person comes to you, what do you see in that person when he is being abused? Or you, because I'm asking this because if I go to police and police say, oh, okay, you can go back, and then I go to a lawyer and he also says no.
No, why would the lawyer say no?
No, but the lawyer can also say maybe he would withdraw the complaint in 2 days.
No, but that's not the lawyer's problem. It's even though you would withdraw, but you have to take client. You cannot refuse the client based on like you have to believe your client. You have to go with you have to give them the best legal recourse. And even if they want to withdraw or settle later, that's what the lawyers want to do their work. The police does not. So the lawyer will not dissuade you from filing. They will give you the best legal advice as per your circumstances at that time.
So in India, we see most of the women being domestically abused, but there are a lot of also cases in which men are also being abused. So I really, and all the laws, if one reads from the overview, they also reflect that women are being domestic abused and there are no rights for men. But as a lawyer, I really want to ask, you being lawyer, I really want to ask you, what are the rights for men if they are being abused?
Per se, as per law, there are not a lot of rights. Maybe you can file a complaint for assault because the Domestic Violence Act, I think the definition of an abuser or the perpetrator in the Domestic Violence Act is an adult male of the family. So it does not. So a woman, according to the law, a woman cannot domestically abuse a man, but the society, obviously, in what happens in real life, that obviously men are also victims of domestic abuse. Because as I said, it's a very emotional and a mental game where the abuser, they whatever gender they have, they just want to have that power over you. They want to physically assault you. So it could be a woman too. And in urban cities, in urban areas, women think that they're entitled to do that and they know that there will not be any consequences. So they're more, because you cannot, as a man, you're not supposed to hit a woman, and you should not. You should not hit your partner at any cost, no matter who it is. But people do. Exactly. So on a personal level also, that it is not that a man cannot hit a woman. It is very easy for a man to hit a woman, right? But, and because there's a lot of social stigma attached also कि ये तो अच्छा अपनी girlfriend से पिट गया, बीवी से पिट गया. He's a weak man. He's a weak man. But what I think, it takes much more strength to not hit your partner. That's what makes you a strong person.
True.
Because a weak person would easily
react.
That's what abusers are. They're weak people. They're frustrated with themselves, and they would react. So I would like to say that if there's there's any man who has been abused and has been made fun of eventually, that oh, you are a weak man and you should have hit her back. No, you are not alone. You're not. You are seen, and you should not hit anybody. And it's a great thing, and that's what makes you strong. That's what makes you a man or a good person. And even if as a woman you should, I'm not trying to say that only men can do that, but because obviously in usual cases men are at a physical advantage, and even after knowing that you are at a physical advantage, you still not choose to do it. So it does not make you a weak person. It makes you a really strong person. And apart from that, on the legal front, I wouldn't say that there are a lot of rights. I would say that leave that relationship. Try to create evidence, as much as evidence possible. If push comes to shove, something else happens, there are false cases being filed against you, then this evidence will come in use. Do not hit your partner in general also. Do not hit a person you love in general also. But legally also, as a man, you should not hit your partner in such a situation. Just try to walk out, call the police, do whatever, just get out of that situation. Tell the other person to leave you alone.
One thing, it came into my mind now. In India, we see parents hitting their children very often, and it is being considered a norm. If you have to raise a child, you have to hit that. But now we seeing society much being aware, and in schools and although this is now totally out of question of hitting any person. I really want to know if any child is watching this, what remedies does he have? Because if his parent is just hitting him all the time and giving him
that is also abuse. You should not hit a child, even though it's a norm, doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah.
But the Domestic Violence Act itself,
Yeah.
it defines a victim as a woman or a child. So the
Okay.
child, it applies to children also.
Okay.
So children have different rights as per the Domestic Violence Act, and if
Okay.
so they have remedies and there are helplines. Of course,
Ah.
they can approach the other adult members of the family, and the other if children are being abused in your family, then an adult, a sane, rational adult, should step up and kick the abuser out or do whatever legal recourse you can take to protect that child. Because people think it's normal, but a lot of people say that you should my parents hit me as a kid and I turned out fine.
Yeah.
No, you did not turn out fine, because if you think that you've turned out fine and you can say that, then clearly you're not turned out fine. And it does not give you a right to hit your child. I know children can be annoying, children can have a lot of, but they're children, okay? And it's very easy. I'm not a parent and I wouldn't know yet that how to deal with the child. It's a very tough job to do. But as soon as you hit the child, as soon as you make it a habit that for whatever happens, you're gonna hit the child, you're gonna do this, you're gonna punish them, those children will grow up to be very anxious, abused, and then they might do that to somebody
their
else,
partner.
to their partner, to their children. They might think that's such an okay thing to do. हमारे साथ तो ऐसा ही हुआ, तो हम भी ऐसा कर सकते हैं. नहीं भाई, अगर आपके साथ ऐसा हुआ है तो आप तोड़ो उस पैटर्न को. आप मत करो. आप अपने बच्चे को, वही that's how you break generational trauma, right? You should, because you're not a good person then if you think physical abuse is okay. No matter who it is being done to, physical abuse, violence is never the answer. I mean, the world, there are wars going on right now. People are being killed every day, and it's a very utopian thing for me to say that violence is not the answer. But that is the world we want to.
True. Okay. And in terms of laws, if you have some knowledge about the laws for children, that they can actually go and read about it.
Read the Domestic Violence Act.
Okay,
obviously the Constitution provides you right to live with dignity, right to life, and all of these things. But these are very theoretical things.
Yeah.
But the Domestic Violence Act covers all of these things.
Actually, I was reading while researching about this, there is some Supreme Court judgment in which they have said that the Domestic Violence Act, in which it mentions women, is now actually being considered more gender neutral. It also considers men also. So I think
I have not read such a judgment, but okay, maybe.
I was reading and watching a couple of videos in which people were explaining now, because earlier it was written specifically women, but there are a couple of one judgment in which the
court has interpreted as woman to include a man also.
No, the court has said that this word woman should not be there,
and it should not be there.
Yeah,
but it's an observation by the court.
No, I think something is being done. Woman or man, I don't know. Obviously, court cannot add something, but
the court can interpret it.
Yeah.
Then legislature can change it. But I have not heard of anything like this, because what happens is that even though there's a lot of misuse, there are a lot of false cases, whether it be rape, the section of rape, the cruelty, 498A domestic violence section, and the Domestic Violence Act, dowry cases. There could be a lot of misuse, but as soon as you make these things, if you make these things gender neutral, which ideally it should be, then they would be misused by the hands of the other side also. That could always happen, right? And of course, there are genuine victims, there are true victims. It's a very complicated issue, because the society we live in, we have given women a lot of rights. Now, obviously, some elements of the society are misusing those rights, which is a shame, which should not be done. But if we give men the same rights, then there could be very bad misuse by men as well. Right? We have to consider that part as well.
Yes.
So I think the judiciary obviously is I think is the smartest limb of the state, and I hope they are able to curb the problem of misuse and maybe make things more gender neutral and inclusive. But again, they would have to do it with a lot of caution.
Yes, yes. One couple of more points. I would not take much of your time. I really want you to tell me about sexual violence and domestic violence. When does domestic violence actually cross into sexual violence? Theoretically, if you can tell
Theoretically,
me.
I think you're trying to talk about marital rape, maybe.
Yeah, we can say that.
Okay, so the case is going on right now in the
Yeah.
Supreme Court. I think they've deferred it to later because the CGI is retiring right now.
Yeah.
But they
And this CGI was actually quite adamant to take up this case, and I don't know why he did not conclude the matter. And he had very strong opinions about
I
marital
will
rape.
speak to you about this after 10 days once he
Okay.
retires.
Okay,
He's
okay,
still the sitting CGI.
okay.
But no, but about married sexual violence and domestic violence, obviously a domestic relationship will include a sexual relationship as well.
Yeah.
And the point of consent
Yeah.
comes in where the partners should have the right to refuse if they do not want to indulge
Yeah.
in sexual activities.
But
at that
in
time.
India, marital rape is still
It's not a crime. It's not a crime.
Huh.
Because
Then what can a
now
person do in that case? Because then a person would say marital rape
it's
is
a
not
ground
a
for divorce. You
Okay.
file for divorce. It's cruelty.
Okay.
It's not a criminal offense.
Okay.
It might be they're trying to, but it's a very sensitive, complicated issue where it can again open floodgates for misuse because in any marriage there could be continuing consent also, but
Yeah.
you can always revoke that consent.
Yeah.
But again, if you see how marriages end, and
Yeah.
now if one partner, I'm not saying that marital rape only a woman should have the right there, because a man can also refuse to give consent, right? So
Yeah.
it could be a gender neutral law where a partner refuses to give
Yeah.
consent
Yeah.
for something sexual.
Yeah.
But the misuse of it, the chances of this sort of misuse would
Yeah.
increase. Like it would open floodgates.
But I think in other Western countries, US, Europe, there are marital rape laws.
Yes,
Yeah, and
of
it's
course.
not that everyone is misusing
No,
those
but
laws.
because again, you have to take in our social climate, because there so much misuse is reported in a lot of domestic violence cases also, and there's a lot of how like it has come to light that a lot of the laws are being misused. So I think the court, the judiciary, the legislature is right now scared to introduce something else.
Yeah.
Again, I think marital rape laws should exist, but it could be a gender neutral law. So if somebody wants to misuse it, the other party might also have they can also misuse it. So then both of you should be in jail for misusing the laws.
Yeah.
But I think it's a very, very complicated, sensitive issue, which again the court is they are in a much better position than me to deal with all. And then as soon as
Last couple of points. Any sources that people can read upon to know more about these laws, and also that after this episode, if a person wants to read more about these laws, where can they go? If you have some knowledge, you are a lawyer and say,
wow. No, of course, there are a lot of books, commentaries written on every law, whatever section which comes in. You can read a lot of case laws, and this is for, like, even if you're not a law student, you just go and read up about the domestic violence laws, and there would be cases given, landmark cases, unki citations hongi. So you read the case, understand. It would be a little bit difficult for a layman to understand all of those things. But there are a lot of websites where they give you a case summary, and you can read about those cases. Then again, a book would be the best. But I cannot recall of the
any movie that you would say one should watch to understand the complexity of this issue.
I think movies, a lot of movies are good movies, but in India, the legal movies, they're not able to capture because it's the legal industry and the courtrooms are such a complicated, very technical areas. So I'm not aware of any Indian movie where
technical, when you say, what does it mean? Technical, we know when engineers talk about technical things.
No, but
What does technical
law is
that
very technical, right? In the sense, as lawyers now we know that how to read it. Every word can mean different things, and what happens in court, what is the procedure.
Yeah.
So if you go inside the Supreme Court, you just listen to one hearing. Most of the times you wouldn't know what happened. What language are these people using? What are they doing? Because as a young lawyer also, it is intimidating to me that, oh shit, I'm so stupid that I cannot understand what is going on right now. But the more you're there, the more you stick there. In 2-3 years, you're like, okay, now I understand what they're saying. So it is the law is very, very, very technical, and the interpretation of the law, the usage, the procedures, everything. We have created our own. But we use really archaical. A lot of Latin is used. A lot of terms.
Okay.
So in that sense, that's what I meant.
Okay. One movie I would recommend is there was one movie Thappad. If one wants to watch it, it's not legal movie, but it really tells you where one should draw a line.
Yeah, exactly.
And a really good movie. It will just move you
about domestic.
Domestic violence and all, and really good movie.
I think there's another movie, Marriage Story, about domestic violence, which is a good movie.
Okay.
It involves the complications of a relationship and how.
Okay.
I want to talk about a specific thing, which is so. If you've seen on the internet, there's a lot of agenda and propaganda about the misuse of laws by women.
Yeah.
So every legal influencer you meet, every other person is talking about how there are so many fake cases, or how men's rights are being violated, men's rights. Of course, everybody should have rights. Human rights are human rights. But now this is a very personal and specific thing, because when something happened to me, these men's right activists, they took it and they started berating me that you're a weak person, you're a simp, you're a feminist, you're a male feminist के साथ तो ऐसा ही होना चाहिए. I'm still a feminist. I would still always be a feminist. It doesn't matter, because all of these people are incels who've never actually talked to a woman in their lives, and they're like, oh, we will not. I'll tell you why. What is wrong with that? Is that when a man, me, I was down, they were not talking about my rights. They were trying to put me further down, because I still believe in feminism. So these people, they're not out there to protect men's rights. These people have their agenda, they want views. They're out there to actually take the rights from women away, so that they can abuse, or they can do the things that always been done to women. They say that, oh, feminism is so bad, feminazis, but these people are, it's a very personal thing that I would, even after everything that has happened, I would not want to go into the details of whatever happened. But even still, I am a feminist. I would fight for women's rights, because it is affirmative action. It's a checks and balances of the system. Yes, there is misuse. The misuse is frowned upon. I wish no woman misuses the laws, the power they're given, because if you're misusing that, you're failing yourself, you're failing the women around you, you're failing the society. But I will not take this shit from these Twitter incels, or like people who are like, oh no, male feminist ho to aapki to pitai honi chahiye, ya fir you're a simp, you're all of that. No,
that is a very bad thing. True, I got your point. Ki there is a fine line, and you have to understand ki okay, whatever is being done to you, but you have to see the larger point of view that women are being much more abused.
Of course, and they're not seeing that. And these are the same people who are probably doing that, and that is why they want to.
Yeah, ultimately, I think they just want all the power to themselves.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I will decide what is good and bad in society. And please, I don't think you should decide. There are laws, there are ways, there are systems to decide.
That is why affirmative action exists, is inequality among equals. Equality among unequals. But
okay. So really thank you, Manu Abhishek, for being on the show. You really shared a lot of personal things, so it really takes a very big heart. And really thank you for educating our audience. What are their rights, and when they should understand, when they should move out of the marriage if they want to. and I think it will reach the larger audience and people will learn. And I hope all good to you.
I hope so. Thank you so much, and I hope this reaches a large audience where people can relate. People can understand that things are not so black and white.
True.
People can understand that they're not alone.
True.
People can understand that abuse has no gender.
Yes.
And I don't think I've educated a lot, but I will send you a list of movies and books after doing some due diligence, and then maybe you can put it in the so that more people.
Definitely you have. I think I got very educated because I got to learn nuances of how things are and some personal anecdotes. If I see other people doing it, I can just
you can tell them. Yes, and for children also.
For
their
children,
rights, women's rights, men's rights. Everybody has rights.
True.
And everybody has the right to live with dignity and protect themselves.
True.
And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you for being on this.